بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So there were two topics given to me. I will cover only one because 17 minutes is barely to cover 1/10 of the first topic itself. So if there are severe disputes among married couples, how to handle that, inshallah ta'ala. Let me start by saying you need to identify first what is that the severe dispute that is happening between you and your spouse. Is it that a matter of abuse? And it could be verbal, it could be mental, it could be physical, it could be emotional, name it. Is it a matter of family involvement, that someone from the family is controlling the argument inside the house? Or is it about lack of responsibility? Is the husband someone who is not willing to work and provide as Islamically ordained? Is the wife not ready to have kids and raise them? Marriage for her was something different than having 2-3 kids and dealing with them with all the challenges that come with them, because tarbiyah is a huge matter. I mean, how many movies you have watched, you just turn your face for like 1 minute of a child and something happens. So caring for a child 24/7 is not an easy task. And we need to prepare our kids to such understanding of what marriage is about. And if we don't, we are not getting our kids ready to have a type of marriage that can survive and be enjoyed at the same time. Or is it matters that are ethical? Did the husband find the wife, talking to someone else? Or did the wife find the husband cheating with someone else? Or is he someone like falling into Islamic ethical ordained matters of haram, gambling, or matters that differ, the focus of the person from caring for the family into being self-centered? Is it matter of communications? I mean, there's so many things. So when you are to define something of a severe dispute, it's not like we're talking about simple things. And the way to handle it, most people run first into each other, try to solve things. But if things don't get solved, how long are you going to wait to seek help? Unfortunately, in most of the cases that come to our offices, it's almost near divorce. And you can't patch much. And based on that, if you fail to handle matters on your own, then try to bring family that in the past session I said Allah described as فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. It is not just because he's your dad, he should represent you. Or he's your older brother, he should represent you. Allah gave the term hakam. Hakam means a judge. Someone who is known to have sound judgment. Someone who is known to be neutral. If that didn't work, are you going to call the sheikh? How many sessions am I able to provide you for free? We have an average 4 to 5 sessions per case, for example, at my office. But then are matters solved in 3 to 5 matters of sessions? Maybe, maybe not, most likely not. If you're going to go to a professional like Dr. Samira here, do you have the finances to be able to cover that and provide that? Does your insurance cover it? So there's problems like, if it matters of how many times, finances. But between all that, there has to be 3 ways to look at the problems. You either have both sides agreeing to solve, and that has the best chance of working things out when we have both the husband and the wife agreeing to come. because if the damir in the ayah is going on the spouses, you read that if the husband and wife have an intention of fixing things, then there's a chance for the counselor or the therapist to help them out. But if they come already fix him, and as if I have nothing to do with him, the problem is all on the, or fix her, then if you got yourself outside the problem cause, then you're not willing to give in. And the ayah says very clearly, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ. A family is a qawm, is a group. حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Unless you change that which is in yourself. If they both come, that's one track. If one person comes alone or calls the phone, every time I come to the office every morning, there's between 10 to 15 phone calls waiting for me. For me to call back, to get in touch or not to get in touch, and then to make an appointment, and then to sit down and listen. It takes a long time. And at that time, my role of involvement is to offer support, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So if it's only the husband or only the wife is calling, then what is that I can give a support for a person? Or is it divorce? So it's either two people willing to solve the problem, or one person is calling and you need to give them support, or divorce. I'm gonna go backwards because the most important one is when two people want to solve things. Divorce, I wanna focus on two issues. If people already decided to divorce, many people reach out to the masajid to have such an understanding before they go and file for divorce, which is fine. But there are Islamic issues that you need to be aware of. Number one, if you were married overseas, there's a problem. Your divorce here in the US does not clear you from your marriage, legal marriage documentation overseas. So you need to solve that. Many people think that if he or she can just go to the American court and file for divorce, it's done. And we have so many cases that people do that and they don't even to do the Sharia divorce. That's a problem. And they remarry. Well, if that is the case, my job is to finalize the first divorce fully, Islamically and legally, to make sure that that person is ready for the next step. But if someone is married overseas, in many cases it's way more better to call on a lawyer overseas and just do the divorce overseas and it's all done. You don't have to bother doing it here. But if it is done in the US, and this is the way we do it, the same way we need from people to get married first in the court and then come to do the Islamic marriage, we ask them that you need to do the Islamic, the legal divorce first in the court and then come and do the Islamic divorce. And if the marriage happened in the US, we give, let us say, a scenario, the husband refuses to divorce his wife. He felt that he was forced into a legal divorce, his wife took money from him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. At that time, my job is to call the husband and give him a time frame. In 1 month, in 2 weeks, in 6 weeks. If you don't show up, if I will either file it as a regular divorce or a khula from the side of the wife, or what we call talaq al-tafriq, where the judge or the sheikh in my case will use his authority and declare the invalidity of marriage and apply the divorce if we feel someone is abusing his or her authority not to finalize the divorce. We cannot do that if the marriage is overseas. Because if I divorce someone here and she's still married overseas and remarries someone here, then she'll be married legally to two people. And if she goes visit overseas her family, for example, her ex-husband can put her in jail if he can provide the legal paper. So there's details, not much to go into, but just giving you some tips. So whenever it comes to divorce, we as our role to try to process, and it is an option. It is not the best option, as the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inna abghad al-halali 'inda Allah at-talaq," but it is an option for so many people. Many people are in a very bad relationships, and divorce is the solution. Islam is a realistic religion. We don't have to have, maybe you had better understanding of a beautiful marriage, but reality proved you something wrong. Divorce can be a solution. But of course, We have the hadith that it is something hated. We know that the mission of shaitan, as the Prophet also spoke, sallallahu, to separate families and make them divorce. So it's our chance. وَالصُّلْحُ خَيْرٌ لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ يُحْدِثُ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ أَمْرًا. So many ayat and a hadith, I'm not here to mention all that. But if the wife calls or the husband calls and complains about his wife in one aspect or another aspect, my job is, which is the second track I said, is to what? To offer support. That support is, if the other person is not willing to change, can you change yourself to deal with him as he is or as she is? That is an option on the table. How long are you willing to wait and practice sabr based on there's kids involved? Based on what are my options if I get divorced? How old are you? How many kids you have? Financially, there's so many factors because we are given so broad topics to talk about, and every case is a very detailed case that has to be customized on the person's life. That's why these cases are different from each person to another person. We just give general guidelines to understand how the process happens, but then every case has to be studied, individually. And based on that, a person will make a choice that I should do this or I should not do that. And sometimes it is the spiritual support that they get from the sheikh that helps them cope with. The same way you might be having challenges in business, or you might be having challenges with family, friends, and siblings, and you need to listen a word of support, tadhkira, makes you feel good. It gives you like a dose to continue 1 more year or 6 more months, whatever it is. My job at that time to ease on you, if it was just venting out, or if it was just, seeking some extra tips to handle matters here and there, advice like try to grow in other matters of life, try to get something new, get yourself busy with something else, focus on things, on the good part of the relationship. All these tips will be given them based on the condition of the person, based on their problem that they are giving. If both parties are coming to address matters, then we listen to each side of the story, as they say, and we tell them, I'm aware of the time, so don't need them. I love it. I should buy me one like that. Well, I had an iPad. At that time, we tell them what's the core problem in that matter. And back to the points I mentioned first. Is it abuse? Is it neglect? And I'm gonna talk on one concept only because I'm already 4 minutes. I wanna cover two things only. Number one, communication. I'm gonna focus on communication matters. Because if someone fails to work, then that's very obvious, but there's a lot of complaints about there's no hiwar, there's no way to communicate well in that matter. You have to understand, as the husband and wife and what they have communication issues about them, people think differently. If a man talks, he talks for a certain point to prove it. في مصلحة, there is a benefit for it. He wants to show his qualities. That's how we talk. And that's what he practices that among men, to prove himself. Females in general find themselves by explaining who they are. So they enjoy talking and sharing what they are going through to demonstrate how they are feeling. So as a husband, you cannot interpret any discussion that your wife brings to you as a complaint. Because the antenna of the husband, if the wife complains about something, the first thing he thinks, that's a problem. How can I solve it? For him, it's not about the wife is just trying to tell him, venting out. No, mushkila ki baddi halha. And that's a wrong approach. If you understand that your wife needs emotional support, then you don't have to interpret that every complaint she talks about the kids or about her family or about her work is something that she wants you to come and, make a committee وتعمل مؤتمر how to solve this problem. Let her talk, let her vent. Listening is an art. And when you understand that, you are able to help yourself deal with the matter better. When you think of a matter that your wife brings it to you, for example, like a problem. If your wife comes and tells you, I have a headache. The man, headache, Tylenol, cabinet, take a couple pills, done. That's how he thinks. I bet he doesn't know which cabinet the Tylenol is in. The wife does. But she still said, I have a headache. What she's asking, I need support. So probably a hug will be a lot more better than telling her take a couple more Tylenols. Maybe a ruqya, put your hand on her head and make dua for her, will help her save in that. So that's one thing. Number two, men don't speak unless they ran out of their own self-created solutions. He finds it as if it's hard to consult. Yani if you are going to drive somewhere, if there's no GPS with you for some reason, your phone is not working, it will take you a long time before you decide to stop at a gas station to ask where is the directions. You're gonna go this way and we're gonna try this way. Tell on your own. Your wife might ask 4 gas stations in 1 hour just to get assurance of what she's doing is right. If you know that the wife likes assurance, so always give words of support. MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khair. The moment you put the food in your mouth, beautiful. You don't have to wait to look at her and Talla alayki, shو رأيك. Tell her that the food is beautiful before you even chew it and swallow it. They like assurance. They find themselves because to her, words of support and appreciation means what she means to you, even in simple matters. The man doesn't like to be challenged in what he thinks he's handling matters. So much involvement from the wife in every single detail that the husband does, annoying you. That's how the approach is given. And that creates what? People that are ببلشوا الجفاء. People get dry. The husband will not be coming much to the house because he doesn't want to go into arguments. The topic is huge. I have 5 seconds left. جزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.